and loose. Be messy and sketchy with your lines. Make mistakes. That's part of the process. I'm going to make several of them. But we'll go back over our lines, over our mistakes if you made them, and darken in the things that you want to keep, okay? There's examples of that here on the walls, on right here beside, on either side of us, and even in the hallway right outside those doors. So with that being said, are you ready to draw Buzz Lightyear? Yeah, all right, let's do this. All right, so for Buzz Lightyear, for really any character, we start with a very general or generic shape. For Buzz, let's go to the middle. I'm going to leave a little mark. And I want you to draw, depending on how large you want your drawing to be, draw yourself like this little credit card shape. It kind of reminds me also of the pink eraser. Something along those lines. Now, when you draw your rectangle or square, whatever shape it is, remember, keep it light. Don't worry about how perfect it looks, okay? In fact, my lines are going way off, right? They're not perfect. Perfection is a social construct anyway, right? So when you're building this up, keep that in mind. Now, with our little credit card shapes or pink eraser shapes, let's go ahead and start to draw in some guidelines. And these are likely very easy to draw, but they're very helpful. For Buzz, we're going to draw him looking straight ahead. So we'll divide our little shape in half, top to bottom. We'll divide it right down the center, approximately the center. And then Buzz Lightyear has what we refer to in animation as a lantern jaw, which is a really good sign that that character is very confident, right? So Buzz Lightyear definitely has a confident chin. Can you shout out any other characters that have that same feature? Gaston. We can stop this right there, right? Nobody has a chin like Gaston. Did somebody else say Mr. Incredible? Definitely. How about one more? Let's do one more. Yes. I've never heard someone say Hades before. Yes, you're right. Absolutely. So you know what I'm talking about. Even Hercules 2 would count. So right now we've just got that simple eraser shape. Let's go ahead and start to carve into it the shapes that we want. So for Buzz Lightyear, I'm going to go right here on the corners, the upper corners of our little eraser. And I'm going to draw in these parentheses. Let's start to build up Buzz Lightyear's face. Now Buzz Lightyear is a space ranger, right? So he's sort of wearing a cowl, I like to describe it. So I'm going to connect both of these parentheses together with this stretched out letter U. Basically, this is where his forehead is, this little area. Now, as you mentioned, right, Buzz Lightyear, including all the characters that you named, are confident characters. So we got to pinpoint where his chin is. So right here on the bottom corner of a parenthesis, I'm going to bring it down a diagonal line, right off to the side of my eraser. Now, this whole thing, you could leave it as his chin to be super big. I'm going to bring it down about halfway. That's really all the space that we need. Now notice how I'm darkening in these lines. Remember, locking in is just a fancy way of saying darken in. So halfway down my eraser shape is what I'll need for the chin. And then from here, I'm going to connect a letter U. Now Buzz Lightyear is a character in the movie Toy Story. Now Toy Story has a lot of parallels when you compare it to Snow White. Because when Walt Disney wanted to create the first ever full-length 2D animated film, people laughed at him. They didn't think anybody would sit down and watch cartoons all day. And look, what are we doing now, right? So he was way ahead of his time. Same thing can be said for Pixar. Nobody believed that 3D would kind of create any results. Full-length animated films were already a thing, right, as we established. But 3D was not the norm then like it is today. So Pixar was actually the studio that very first proved to the world that 3D animation is something, a force to be reckoned with. Now, Toy Story being their first film, it was a movie about literally toys, right? Now, back in the day, something like a movie about toys, which actually at first, a lot of people didn't take Pixar serious, as we established. But for this movie specifically, who voices this character? Tim Allen. Actually, wait a minute, before I forget, we're adding in his ears real quick, right, where his ears are. And then I'm going to follow the curve of my lines here to complete the top of his head. But yes, Tim Allen voices the toy version of Buzz Lightyear, right? Chris Evans voices the human version, the real person. Now, for Tim Allen, excuse me, originally he was going to be voiced by a different actor altogether. Is anyone out there a big Toy Story fan and knows who originally was going to voice Buzz? Billy Crystal, yeah. Billy Crystal was originally set to voice Buzz Lightyear. But remember I mentioned that not everybody took Pixar serious back in the day, so he actually declined the role because Pixar wasn't established like it is now. Of course, when Toy Story broke records, Billy Crystal was like, whoa, I messed up. This is actually his biggest regret as far as his career goes. He regrets definitely turning down the role. Actually, Buzz Lightyear was going to be a different character altogether back in the day. He was actually going to be known as Lunar Larry. And he was going to be more of a comedic character. Yeah, hence why Pixar wanted Billy Crystal, right? He was a very prominent comedian back in those days. All right, now the rest of our gum shape or eraser shape we're going to use for his neck. So I'm bringing it down. But he's a space ranger, right? So we want to draw him wearing that helmet. So underneath the neck, I'm going to stretch out a letter U, a wide letter U. But you know what? In animation, we use a technique all the time called draw through. So on the ends of your letter U, however long or wide you made it, copy the same shape, only reverse, but draw very lightly through your Buzz Lightyear. Now, even though these lines are going through your character, only darken in the lines that are not already being covered up by something else. So the collar to the spacesuit, we can of course go ahead and lock in, because nothing is in front of this. But as far as the back goes, only darken in the lines on the outside of the shape of his face. Because if you draw through it, then you'd be saying that the spacesuit is going through his face. All right. Last thing before we take a little break is that the space suit, you can actually choose if you want the helmet to be up or off. Because in the movie, right, Toy Story 1 and really beyond, sometimes he doesn't have it on at all. So if you want it on, what you'll do, if you don't want it on, just leave it like this. But then I'm going to go to the corner of the collar and bring up kind of like a candy cane curve, half of a rainbow. And take it up to that center guideline and take a little break there, leave it there for a second. And then you'll copy it and curve it right back to the other side. So right now we're about halfway done, maybe a little bit farther than half. So while we're still here, let's do a quick check-in. So far, how you doing out there? Pretty good. Not bad. All right, sounds like a little bit of a mixed bag out there. Or maybe you're still catching on, that's probably it. We'll leave you to it. Now, Buzz Lightyear is as iconic as animated characters get, right? There's so much to love about him, and some of it we've already covered, the fact that he is original, one of the original characters of this movie. Now, Buzz Lightyear was this is actually probably a well-known fact, but his design and story was actually loosely based off of the G.I. Joe franchise, which tells a story, again, of a bunch of these characters kind of working together. Same thing with Buzz Lightyear and Star Command. In fact, there was a Star Command TV series where Buzz was voiced by a different actor in that show. Anyone know who voiced him then? Yeah, Patrick Warburton, who's very famous for having an iconic voice, right? And he voices many iconic characters, including Kronk, as well as Buzz Lightyear. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shade in sort of the purple part of his suit. But we gotta give him a face though, because right now he just looks like a mannequin. Now I'm going to go to the middle of where lines are meeting, and I like to draw in the nose first. The nose looks like a triangle that's missing the top point. Think of it like that, triangle that's missing the top edge. Now we're drawing the toy version, so his nose is actually very simplified. You're going to draw another triangle right at the base of this first one and shade it in. Now, Buzz Lightyear has a very big personality, right? At first, he was certain that he was not a toy, which leads to the fact that, again, he is a very confident character. So you want to draw these big, expressive eyes. Now, they're going to sit right up along that center guideline, the one that's going from left to right. But right now, without any other details or context, he does look a little possessed, a little scary, right? He's got very blank eyes. Now, part of what makes his character so iconic, apart from being voiced by Tim Allen, is the way that his eyebrows are. He's got very expressive eyebrows. So without any other details, I'm going to draw them in first. So over here on the left eye, the eyebrow slightly cuts into the circle, and it looks like this kind of sideways S shape, a sideways letter S. But the eyebrow over here is going to kind of flare up and out. It also reminds me of the way that The Rock would do with his eyebrows, right? He has the same kind of effect. That's how I think of it. And then I'm going to go back and lock them into place. Now, Buzz Lightyear's pupils are also very large and also a big part of what makes him very confident. Now, I'm going to go ahead and lock in the shape of the eye, but you know what? Maybe Buzz is your favorite character or a character that you like. You can draw hearts or stars in there. You can maybe leave them like this. I'm going to draw the pupils somewhere in the inner corners. Maybe he's looking out at all of us. But you can have him looking up or down, left or right. Maybe you want to make him a little wall-eyed, like hey, hey. He's got a silly side, right? I'm going to go ahead and draw it right here in the inner corners. Now really, the ultimate thing that makes Buzz Lightyear look very confident is his smile, I should say. For Buzz though, because he's got that swirly chin, I like to draw that in first. It's just this tiny little swirl right here at the bottom. But some of our Pixar characters have what we refer to as a smirk smile, and Buzz Lightyear being one of the confident characters, I think it's pretty applicable that we add that in. Essentially what a smirk looks like, in a very simple form, is a sideways letter U. You want to emphasize one of the sides though. So for me, the left, it looks like, is what I'm emphasizing. And smile lines can also be taken a long way. Now, if you were to leave the smile like this, he's definitely looking confident. But I like to sketch down another letter U, open up that smile to what we call a laughing smile. So it looks like he's laughing. All right. Now, Buzz Lightyear here, of course, as I mentioned, is a member of Star Command, and if you left your drawing like this, it totally comes across as Buzz. But I feel like every time a new Pixar animated movie, or even Lightyear, the suit gets more and more detailed. So to keep it very simple, if you want to draw more of the suit, you want to use the neckline as your jumping point, and bring down two diagonal lines, but leave a little space here. They're kind of floating in space here. And then connect the letter U right underneath. Now normally at the bottom or underneath this panel you would see or find all of those buttons. So if you know what goes there, maybe you've got a little reference, add in anything that you want from here on out. But the most important thing for any drawing, whether it's Buzz Lightyear to Mickey to Oswald, is really to find a good spot on your drawings and sign your sketches of Buzz Lightyear. All right, in the end, how'd you do out there? Pretty good, not bad. All right, there's some stunned silence. Maybe you did so well, you want to let the artwork do the talking. All right, here's what we'll do. Sign your work, don't forget. And then on the count of 3, I want to see everybody's Buzz Lightyears. And you know what? You look around and see how differently everybody draws. All right, on 3, ready? 1. Give you slow counts. 2, 3. Buzz Lightyear, let's take a look. These look great. Yeah, whoa, the stars. I like the 3D effect that you did. Nice. These look amazing. What do you mean? There's not one bad Buzz Lightyear. Nice job. These look amazing. Yeah, come on. You guys gotta be way more confident. These look good. Be like Buzz, right? Nice job on the shading. Yeah, the spacesuit. These are like so good. Out of this world. You know what? Give each other a round of applause. Come on, what do you think? Yeah, our job well done. Excellent work. All right, well, you know what? That's it for Buzz Lightyear. Please enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. Have fun out there. We'll see you soon. The class is dismissed. Bye, everyone.
Big round of applause for your artist.